The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Cone,
Present.
Alderman Narayan, Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Velazquez, Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Browning, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Keys, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Velazquez, Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Browning, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderman Aldridge. 9 present, you have quorum.
A quorum being present, we will be led in opening reflection and prayer by retired and long-term president and CEO of the International Institute of St. Louis, Anna Crosland.
Thank you, President Green. Hello to all of you. It's been a while since I've had an opportunity to be able to say hello and address you, certainly since my retirement as CEO of the International Institute in 2021. Some of you may know, however, that I am a proud Japanese American, and as such, am here this morning to reflect a little bit on the month of May, which is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. As part of that, then I'll read a little bit of a reflection here. But I've been thinking a lot about Pacific Asian American Heritage Month and what it really means, because I think for a lot of us, when we think of Asians in the community, we think of sushi and dance and the Japanese garden at the Missouri Botanical Garden and beautiful cultural activities and endeavors. And that's absolutely one of the things that's remarkable and that the community is very proud of. But there's also a heritage having to do with Japanese Americans and America, which at best can be called conflicted. I'm reminded of that, in fact, because of the debut this past weekend of the World's Fair exhibit at the Missouri History Museum, and how it has gone back to, in fact, reframe certain issues having to do with the fair, including the fact that as part of the fair, over 1,000 Filipinos, Asian Filipinos, were brought to the United States and set up in a village there so that the spectators could gawk at them and get an idea of what primitives were really like in the rest of the world. Not a great image. Yes, we remember the ice cream cones. We remember the Ferris wheel. Let's also remember that it was a little bit twisted in terms of some of the things that happened there. 40 years later then, Japanese Americans, 120,000 Japanese Americans, of whom 2/3 were U.S. citizens, were interned in camps in 1943 after Pearl Harbor. Once again, not because of anything they had done, but because of fears of what they might do. Today, America is still conflicted about Asian Americans. While on the one hand, we celebrate them, on the other hand, look at what happened during COVID and the discrimination and the hardships that people of Chinese ancestry in this country faced because of comments about, claims of the China virus, etc. And the deaths, the harassment and deaths that occurred. So we as a nation still are grappling with what being an Asian American really is and what it should be. And So at this point then, what I want to do is I want to read just a few reflections from the prologue of a book called Legends from Camp, Poems of Lawson Fusao Inada, who was the 5th poet laureate of the state of Oregon, and who, as a child at 6 years of age, was actually one of those people who was interned along with his family in a camp during World War II. So, prologue is what it's called. It began as truth, as fact. That is, at least the numbers, the statistics, and there for verification. 18 camps. No. Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of, okay, 10 camps, 7 states, 120,113 residents. Still, figures can be can lie. People are born, die, and as with the names of the places themselves, they can change. So these too are subject to change. Denison or Jerome, Arkansas. Gila or Canal, Arizona. Tule Lake or Newell, California. Amachi or Granada, Colorado. As was the War Relocation Authority and its mention of camps or centers for assembly, concentration, detention, evacuation, internment, relocation, among others. The situation obviously was rather confusing. It was obviously confusing simple people and had simply assumed that they were had assumed that these people were friends and neighbors, colleagues, partners, patients, customers, students, teachers, and if not so much aliens or not aliens, they just hadn't thought of it that way. But likewise, simple, unassuming people who paid taxes as fellow citizens and populated pews and desks and fields and pieces of ordinary American society and commerce. Rumors flew, landed. What's new? What's next? And then, just like that, it happened. And then, just like that, it was over. Sure, sun, moon, stars, they came and they went. And then things happened. And as they ended, they kept happening. And as they happened, they ended. And began again, happening. And the event, the experience, the history slowly began to lose its memory, gradually drifting into a kind of fiction. True story based on fact, but nevertheless, all the elements of fiction. And then sun, moon, stars, we come, and then there we are, legend. Thank you.
Please dispense with line item 4, introduction of honored guests. Any introduction of honored guests? Alderwoman from the 11th.
There we are. Good morning. Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. Again, this is the month of May, and Asian the Pacific Islander. And I just wanted to acknowledge that among us, among this body, we do have a member. And I wanted to just express that despite the many things that were described here just a moment ago, even though, we know as a part of history, these things have happened. And as a Black person, I identify as Black, not African American, by the way, these things continue to happen in our country, and it is a sad narrative that we continue to play out over and over again. But the many contributions that Asians and Pacific Islanders have played in our society and continue to give and to enhance us as a nation. We appreciate you. Thank you. By the way, I should have said his name, Narayan. Additionally, my honored guest is Sheriff Vernon Betts. I appreciate all that you do for us as a city. We know that these roles that people play are not easy, but they pick up the mantle and they do the best that they can anyway. I see Dave Sweeney up there, not quite sure what the pants are doing today, but always like to acknowledge you and welcome you here to the board once again. All righty, well, thank you so much. I will sit down now.
Any further introduction of honored guests? Any further introduction of honored guests? Seeing none, Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the approval of the minutes from Friday, April 26, 2024.
I thought we had more. Okay. I make the motion that we approve the minutes from Friday, April 26, 2024.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we approve the minutes from Friday, April 26, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C if the agenda has been placed in the Google Drive for your review.
Alderwoman from the 1st, you are recognized on the motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of introducing Board Bill number 23.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, I move to suspend the rules to introduce Board Bill number 23.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 1st, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 10th, that we suspend the rules for the purposes of introducing Board Bill number 23. This is a non-debatable motion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Cone, Alderman Narayan, Alderman Balmer, Alderwoman Velazquez, Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Browning, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Keys, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Cone, 14 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion from the Alderwoman from the 1st. Please place Board Bill number 23 at the end of the first reading of Board Bills.
So noted.
First reading of Board Bills.
Board Bill 16, sponsored by Alderwoman Schweitzer, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface, surface, and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in Popin Street from Alabama Avenue westwardly, 15-foot wide north-south alley in City Block 3176, beginning at Popin Street and extending to a point in the City of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described with accordance with the Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 17, sponsored by Alderwoman Spencer, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission on April 17, 2024, to change the zoning of property as indicated on district map from the K unrestricted district to D multiple family dwelling district in City Block 847 so as to include the described parcel of land in City Block 847 and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 18, sponsored by Alderwoman Keys, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394 to calm the flow of traffic on a 3600 block, 3700, 3800, 3900, 4000 block, 4100 block, 4200, 4300, 4400, 4500, and 4600 blocks of Lee. Board Bill 19, sponsored by Alderwoman Schweitzer, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to climb the flow of traffic on the 4000 block of Concordia Avenue. Board Bill 20, the number was not used this session. Board Bill 21, sponsored by Alderwoman Keys, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service of the City of St. Louis, establishing the multiple public works and improvement projects on Lofboro Avenue Bridge, Grand Drive Bridge, Dr. Martin Luther King Drive, 4th Street, and Washington Avenue in the City of St. Louis, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 22, sponsored by Alderwoman Keys, an ordinance establishing a two-way stop sign at the intersection of Lee and Cora Avenue, regulating all traffic traveling east and westbound on Lee Avenue at the intersection of Lee Avenue and Cora Avenue, and a two-way stop sign at the intersection of Lee and Dryden Avenue, regulating all traffic traveling east and westbound on Lee Avenue at the intersection of Lee Avenue and Dryden Avenue, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 23, introduced by Alderwoman Schweitzer, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing the Department of Public Utilities to accept the grant award from the Drinking Water State Revolving Funds administered through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources with the funding from the American Rescue Plan Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law for the grant purposes to help water systems achieve the health protection objectives of the Safety Drinking Water Act by improving drinking water treatment facilities, fixing leak and old pipes, improving source of water supply, constructing finished water storage tanks and other infrastructure projects needed to protect public health, appropriating such funds to the Department of the Public Utilities, authorizing the expenditure of such funds to fulfill the obligation of said grant to extend such funds are received, containing an emergency clause. That's the extent of first reading of board bills.
Could please assign Board Bill 23 to the Public Infrastructure Committee.
So noted.
Reference to Committee of Board Bills.
To the Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee, Board Bill 16, 18, 19, 22, and 23. To the HUD's Committee, Board Bill 17, and to Transportation and Commerce, Board Bill 21. That's the extent of reference to committee.
Second reading and report of standing committees.
The following board bills were reported out of Transportation and Commerce with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 9, sponsored by Alderwoman Boyd, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the St. Louis Municipal Finance Corporation to issue its leasehold revenue refunding bonds in an aggregated principal amount not to exceed $20 million in order to refund all or a portion of its outstanding Series 2015 bonds containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. Board Bill 10, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the issuance and establishment of terms, sales of airport revenue bonds not to exceed $320 million to finance the cost of purchasing, extension, improvement, and enlargement of the airport, containing the severability and emergency clause. The following board bill was reported out of Public Infrastructure with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 3, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets pursuant to Ordinance Number 70333 as amended by Ordinance 71394 to install speed humps on the 1200 block of Montclair Avenue. That's the extent of second reading. Report of standing committees.
Report of special committees.
We have none.
Board bills for perfection consent.
We have none.
Board bills for perfection.
We have none.
Report of engrossment.
We have none.
Third reading and final passage of board bills consent.
We have none.
Third reading and final passage of board bills.
We have none.
Report of finally passed and signed by the President.
We have none.
First reading of resolutions in reference to committees.
We have none.
We can dispense with line items 15 through 20. Second reading of resolutions, committee reports and adoptions.
Report from the HUD's Committee. Mayoral appointment to the Clean Energy Development Board, Mr. Nigel Williams.
Alderwoman from the 10th, you're recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the Clean Energy Development Board.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, I move that we approve Mayor Jones' appointments to the Clean Energy Development Board.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we approve Mayor Jones' appointments to the Clean Energy Development Board. Any discussion? Seeing none, there's been a request for roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone. Alderman Narayan.
Jones' appointment to the Clean Development Energy Board.
Alderman Balmer. Alderwoman Velazquez. Alderwoman Sanye. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Keys, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
Alderman Aldenberg, Alderman Narayan, Alderman Aldridge, 13 aye votes and 1 no vote.
By your vote, you sustain the motion from the Alderwoman from the 10th to approve Mayor Jones' appointments to the Clean Energy Development Board. Courtesy resolutions. Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to adopt the courtesy resolution consent calendar.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the courtesy resolution consent calendar.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we adopt the courtesy resolution consent calendar. Any discussion? Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. There's several great resolutions on the courtesy consent calendar. There is one that I just want to highlight really quickly. Resolution number 30 in the month of May is Stroke Awareness Month, and I just want to read some facts a little bit about why it's important for us in the city of St. Louis to make sure our health is right and just the importance of strokes in the city of St. Louis. So stroke is the leading cause of long-term disability and the 5th leading cause of death in the United States, affecting people of all ages, genders, and ethnicities. According to the American Health Association, someone in the United States have a stroke every 40 seconds, and every 4 minutes someone dies from a stroke. The city of St. Louis recognizes the importance of raising awareness about stroke prevention, risk factors, and warning signals, promoting access to quality stroke care. Over half of strokes death are actually caused by women. More men have strokes, but more women die from strokes. 700 individuals who have potentially had a stroke are eventually long-term disabled. About 4.7 million stroke survivors, about 4.7 million stroke survivors today, therefore, after having a stroke, suffers a long-term disability. There's plenty more. There's a resolution that I did that I would encourage the board to read. I never thought that, sometimes, you hear about these different life illnesses and you just hear about them and you kind of go on with your life. And as all you guys know, at the beginning of the year, my mom had a stroke at the beginning of January and was in the hospital pretty much all of January. You guys, wrapped your arms around me, and then later passed at the end of January. But it is something that is just now important to me. I know that may sound maybe not super positive, but when it affects you, it takes a different toll on you. So I just want to raise awareness about how important it is to make sure that you be aware of individuals who may slur their words, individuals that may be operating differently. My mom actually had a stroke 3 days before she actually went to the hospital and caught it later. So it's always important to catch strokes on the front end. The longer that a stroke end up happening and a person doesn't catch it on the front end, there's more damages that happens to them. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 7th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I would move that we embank Resolution 30.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 7th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 1st, that we make resolution number 30 in bank. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any further discussion? It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we adopt the courtesy resolution consent calendar. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have none.
We can dispense with line item 23, announcements.
Monday, May 6, 2024, the Special Committee on Reducing Red Tape will have a hearing in the Kennedy Room at 3 p.m. Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, the Committee of the Whole will have a meeting in the Kennedy Room at 3:30 p.m. Wednesday, May 8th, 2024, Public Infrastructure and Utilities will have a committee hearing in the Kennedy Room at 3:30 p.m. Thursday, May 9th, 2024, Personnel will have a committee hearing via webinar at 11 a.m. Friday, May 10th, 2024, full board meeting in the chambers at 10 a.m. That's the extent of the announcement.
Any further announcements? Alderman from the 4th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Want to announce on May 15th, we'll be doing an Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage event here at City Hall in the Rotunda from 6 to 8 p.m. We've done it for the last couple of years. Mike Butler hosts it. There's usually, art, dance, food. It's a good time. I would encourage you all to check it out. Thanks.
Alderwoman from the 11th.
Thank you, Madam President. So there will be a peace walk sponsored by the Office of Violence Prevention that's scheduled to happen on Saturday, May the 4th from 1 to 3 p.m. The meetup spot is at Fair and Kossuth. People will begin to assemble at 12:45. They ask that you please wear yellow, for yellow is the color of hope. Additionally, if you are aware of a senior citizen who is 100 or 101 or more years old, please reach out to me. The Southside Wellness are putting together their 42nd annual Bringing It Together program, and they would like to acknowledge those centenarians who are here in our city. Additionally, I will be at Cinco de Mayo at Rouge Bistro on Olive between 3 and 8 on Sunday, which is May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. I look forward to seeing you all there.
Alderwoman from the 7th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I've got a couple announcements. I wrote them all down so I don't have to come up here 3 times this week. Firstly, I just want to give a reminder about Committee of the Whole. That will be May 7th at 3:30 p.m. We're going to talk about water infrastructure. I know that we've done some legislation to address those issues, but we have more to discuss. So they're going to come give us a presentation, and folks will be able to answer questions. It will be in the Kennedy Room, but also hybrid. So if you all would prefer to come in person, you can. But if you'd like to come virtually, that will be an option as well. Same thing for community. I also want to remind folks, of course, that it is Cinco de Mayo this weekend, and so on Cherokee Street, we will be having the festival on the 4th. Again, it will look a little bit different this year, but it will still be a good time. It will just be a little bit more specific entrance points. I have gotten some emails from different and reach outs from different vendors and businesses. We are just a couple of days before, so if you're not on that vendor list, I don't think that you'll be able to make it through, but still happy to make connections to the executive director of the CID so that you all can have those conversations. And just want to emphasize the importance of once the festival is over, it will be time to leave. We are going to be a little bit stricter this year about the end time and making sure that once it's over, folks clear the streets so that businesses can close their shops and prepare to do what they need to do. And then actual Cinco de Mayo is on Sunday, so I absolutely happy Cinco de Mayo to folks. And then I want to give a reminder that the 7th Ward Town Hall, the next one will be on May 15th at the Rita Ford Community Center, and we will be focused on vacancy. We will have our new building commissioner join us, someone from Problem Properties join us, and someone from the, I think, Legal Eastern Services Missouri as well. And then also wanted to thank Alderman Browning for having me at his town hall yesterday for the 9th Ward. It went extremely well. We got to have some great conversations and want to make sure again that I extend that invitation to all of my colleagues. Any community space that you would like me in, I will be bringing some legislation back about the unhoused with the zoning companion. So I want to give us time to have all the internal conversations we need, and happy to go anywhere you would like to have me. And then last but not least, for the ward on June 5th at 6 p.m. at the Southside Wellness Center, we will be having a meeting to discuss the Garvalia development. They're doing a historic renovation. We're talking about next options, which, fingers crossed, hopefully a multi-use building with a grocery store and units up top. Thank you.
Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Before my announcement, I want to Also, shout out before my announcement, I want to shout out a town hall that you did last week. It was very impactful around labor issues. Very good conversation. If people wasn't able to be at that town hall, it is on YouTube, so please go and check it out. Speaking of May 15th, me and the Alderwoman from the 7th Ward must like that date. May 15th, in the 14th Ward, we'll be having a town hall from 6 to 7:30. It will be at 1421 North Jefferson Street, which is a main firehouse. Our special guest that we will have will be Madam Dr. President Green, as well as Assessor Michael Dolphin, who will be talking about the senior tax freeze legislation we passed that was sponsored by Alderwoman from the 1st Ward. And then on Saturday, that's Saturday the 18th, myself and the Alderwoman from the 11th Ward, as well as the committee woman from the 14th Ward, Lucinda Frazier Bosley, will be having a public safety town hall from 10 to 12:30 at Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club in the 11th Ward, where we will be having Chief Tracy as well as different captains to talk about public safety as we are getting a little close to the summertime. And then that following week on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, from 5:30 to 7 o'clock, I will be doing a joint town hall with the Alderwoman from the 8th Ward at the Central Library, and our special guest for that town hall will be Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore. Thank you.
Alderman from the 5th.
Thank you. Once you've had your fill of margaritas and Mexican fare this Sunday, please stop by the Italian neighborhood at St. Ambrose. It's their annual La Festa. This is a Catholic church, so there will be alcohol and gambling. All are welcome. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 6th.
Thank you. I just want to announce the first red tape committees of this session are starting. Our first meeting on Monday at 3 p.m. in the Kennedy Room from 3 to 4:30 p.m. We will have a focus on restaurants this week, and then next week, May 13th, we'll have a focus on minority and women-owned businesses. May 20th, we'll be focusing on food trucks. June 3rd, small businesses. Special event. June 10th. So, thank you.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Seeing none, Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to excuse.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we excuse the Alderman from the 2nd Ward for necessary absence.
Is there a second? It's been moved by the Alderman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 5th, that we excuse the Alderperson from the 2nd for necessary absence. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we adjourn until Friday, May 10th, 2024 in the Board of Aldermen.
Been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we adjourn until Friday, May 10th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.